Welcome back everybody, it's Will here with Spaceman Aquatics, bringing you another video. Today's topic, the 10-gallon aquarium. Aquariums come in an assortment of sizes and dimensions, and the 10-gallon aquarium can be a great way to start your aquarium journey. So today I'll be talking about your stocking options that you may have if you happen to have been purchased a 10-gallon aquarium. Let's begin. So before we get into the video, please comment, rate, share, subscribe so we can grow on YouTube. Let's begin. So option number one, you can do zebra danios. Zebra danios, very small fish. You can pretty much get them at any pet store. I've never really seen a shortage in those fish. Now they're usually about a couple inches, maybe about an inch and a half, maybe 2 inches. So you can get a couple. I would say maybe a small school, maybe about like maybe 5 in a 10-gallon aquarium. That's a great way to start. Option 2, you can do a 1 or maybe 2 betas. Obviously if you do 2 betas, you want to have a divider inside of the tank. You probably want to put maybe some sort of other visual barrier so that they probably don't see each other as often and the aggression is minimum. And what I mean by a barrier, you could probably just set up some plants in that area where the barrier, where the divider is. Maybe just put some hardscape there, something that's going to break up the visuals there so that they don't have so much aggression. You also now have the option of doing guppies or endless live bears, and you can get about maybe 10 to 15 endless live bears. Maybe it's a little bit less with the guppies. Guppies get a little bit bigger. Guppies are a little bit bigger than the endless live bears. So again, these fish are maybe an inch and a half for the guppies, but a very entertaining fish. They breed like crazy. So maybe eventually, if you have an assortment, male and females, you may eventually have to upgrade to a 20-gallon or larger if the breeding gets out of control. But yes, that is a very common and very safe, I would say, option as far as stocking goes. They're pretty hardy fish. They stick around for a while. Like I said, they breed, so usually you have a small community of fish if you're relatively taking care of the tank. Even if you're not doing heavy plants and going all out, they usually stick around. They're pretty hardy. Next up, most Rasbora species that you may find in the local pet store, your PetSmart, your pet supermarket, things like that. They're not going to have anything too exotic. They're not going to have anything too crazy. Most of the Rasbora species, like the harlequin, the rummy nose, you can find those commonly at the local pet stores or the local big chains. They're relatively small fish. Again, they're just a couple inches. You can get a small school of those in a 10-gallon tank, maybe about 5 to 6. And they will make very beautiful fish in a planted tank. You have also an assortment of tetra species that will do well in 10-gallon tanks as well. You may have your cardinal tetras, host species, the neon tetras. You can get maybe a school, maybe about 6, 7, maybe 8 fish in there in a 10-gallon tank, and that'll again look very beautiful in a planted tank. You can get a couple of the skirted tetras, black skirt tetras, white skirt tetras. There's different variations of the same body fish. There's serpent tetras, the black knight. Again, it's virtually the same body design fish. They get around the same size. I would say maybe like a $quarter to $half size coin for those fish. And again, maybe a tetra of those size. So you're looking at maybe about a school of 5 in a 10-gallon tank, maybe 3 to 5. If you're just keeping those fish in there by themselves. So those would do fine as well. Also have the auto-sinkless catfish or the auto catfish. I've spoken about a couple of these other fish before, including the auto catfish in other videos. And the auto catfish, very small catfish. Again, this is another fish that's really only a couple of centimeters to maybe an inch and a half. Very peaceful fish. Most of the fish that I've been talking about in this video, very peaceful. No aggression really I've ever seen. So perfect for a beginner with a 10-gallon tank. The auto-sinkless catfish is going to be a very good bottom feeder or algae grazer, off-flux grazer that you can have in a small tank. The auto-sinkless will definitely help with the alphax grazing and the algae grazing, so it's a good bottom feeder to have in a small tank, in a 10-gallon tank. You can keep an autocinkless catfish as a tank mate you can keep the autocinkless catfish as a tank mate for most of the other fish that were on this list. So next up as an option is a bottom feeder. You also have the rubber lip placo. You can also do a bristlenose placo as well. Now the bristlenose placo, I've had one in a 10-gallon for years, and it started to slightly outgrow it, so I did have to end up putting it into a 20-gallon. But they grow pretty slow depending on how often you feed them. But you can definitely keep a rubber lip or a bristlenose for a little while as a bottom feeder or algae grazer in a 10-gallon tank. So that's it for this video. It's just gonna be a quick video on stocks, just a few stocking options you have for 10-gallon tanks as a beginner. There's obviously other options you may have. If you're, intermediate, a novice, or maybe it's more of an expert, of course you can do a lot more things with 10-gallon tanks, and if you really know what you're doing, you can, have the experience to be able to play around and experiment a little bit. But these are just my opinion of a few options that you may have for a 10-gallon. Coming up, I'm gonna have options for 20-gallon, of course, 30-gallon, 40 gallons, 55, and so on. I might keep it at the 55 gallon for now. With that being said, this is Will with Spaceman Aquatics. Thank you for listening. Again, comment, rate, subscribe.